My name's Leonie Chapman. I'm the Principal and Director of Loyal Solicitors. I've co-founded this virtual law firm with my husband 3 years ago. Loyal is effectively one of the first true virtual law firms in Australia. We operate through our own bespoke in-house built software. My husband's a software developer. We built that entirely through our own desire to have flexible working and work from home. So we focus mostly on businesses and banking and financial institutions. We provide both the external legal advice and also the outsourced in-house legal, so we're a bit of an alternative model, a bit of a hybrid between an external firm and an in-house lawyer. The software itself, I worked for 6 years at Macquarie Bank in their Shelley Street environment with a laptop and a mobile phone. My husband and I had 3 children quite quickly, and we were both working in the city, and we decided that we needed a different model. When I was working at Macquarie, I was working with 1 laptop, 1 mobile phone, and I'd work anywhere in the Shelley Street building or in the cafe downstairs, or I'd work from home and nobody knew where I was as long as the emails were coming through, the phone calls were being had. It was a really effective way of working, and it really worked for Macquarie, and I started thinking, why am I getting up every morning and going into the office and sitting there and doing it from the cafe downstairs? Why don't I just stay at home? I also realised the resourcing issue that some of these in-house teams were having when people went on maternity leave, including me, having to replace them and then the expertise being lost. And we had the idea one day over a bottle of wine to use his skills in developing and my skills as a lawyer to build an end-to-end platform that would facilitate us working from home. In the first year, we had something like 15 clients wanting our services. Firstly, because our hourly rate's so low, because we have no fixed physical premises and we don't have employees. We've got all very, very senior consultants working for us. And secondly, because they loved the proposition of having an outsourced in-house lawyer. When we were building the software, one of our key challenges, and mine personally, was how am I going to manage a whole bunch of lawyers across Australia, which was our vision, without a physical presence, without sitting next to them, without training. So we solved that in 2 ways. The first way is we decided just to have very senior experts working for us. So the level of supervision was a lot less. And the second way was within the software. So we created a concept of legal categories, and we assigned each lawyer with a legal category that matched their expertise. We actually were granted a research and development grant from the Australian government in relation to the innovative part of this software, which no other software does. But essentially, a client can instruct us through our software, allocate a category, for example, privacy law, and it will be sent to any consultant who has that category assigned to them. So it was a good way of managing the compliance aspects around having to have lawyers who have a particular expertise. And also I can assign to groups as though they are practice groups, but in the virtual sense. That worked really, really well, and the software is getting a little bit of exposure from other people wanting to have the software as well, so we're developing it potentially to commercialise. But in terms of our practice, it's been highly successful. The clients that we service at the moment are mostly large banking and financial institutions. We've just recently been asked to tender for one of the major banks who are starting to want to use a bit more alternative models as well as technology and innovation in the way that they engage with their legal providers. So we've just completed that tender, and we don't know if we got on the panel yet, but it was a pretty exciting process to go through. So they now are fully aware of our cloud-based software, exactly the security that we've got in place, and they'll be scrutinising that over the next few months while they decide. But one of the biggest kind of advantages that these clients have, and there's quite a few of the fintechs that are coming to us at the moment because they have a similar kind of digital disruptive attitude, so they love affiliating with us, they love the way that we do it. But one of the exciting parts that we can offer them is their own secure portal and search mechanisms. So one of our recent clients who have just launched a digital mortgage broker who disrupted the industry quite a lot has, for example, 130 matters through us, and they actively use their portal. They go in and search privacy, and they can pull up every matter we've ever given them on privacy, and they've now started integrating our software into their own software so that they can utilise us as ongoing in-house lawyers through the portal. And that's a really, really big development. And when we first launched, I don't think anyone knew they even had a portal. Gradually, some of the clients are coming back and saying, you gave us an advice on the NCCP 2 years ago. Can you pull that out? And I just say, go into your portal and you can get it yourself. There it all is. And we've got this portal. That's fantastic. So that's working really, really well. I mentioned before, and I know this is all about technology, but the driver for our business was flexibility and control. So we're also, from a legal professional perspective, we're really attracting the type of lawyer who wants that flexibility and control. And I mentioned that we only have quite senior lawyers, very senior lawyers who have unrestricted practicing certificates and they have their own PI, but we're exploring in the future having really junior paralegals or people who are actually working, studying through our software, doing the real junior type work and having an overlay of seniority, which could keep costs down for our clients. So that's something that we're exploring in the future. What next for Loyal? We hope to be successful on this tender. We've stopped doing any client development because the growth has been a little bit too big for us, but we're starting to talk about the software with other firms and how it could be used. And we're now on phase 2 to develop and enhance the software, both for our practice and hopefully to commercialise it in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask, and I don't want you to disclose commercially sensitive information, but can you just explain the software to me?
Of course. It's cloud-based. I can't tell you the technicals, so I'm obviously the lawyer, and I wish my husband was here. He'd be able to explain it all. But it's cloud-based software. It's hosted in Amazon Sydney local warehouses. It's driven by a password protection and email to log into the secure. And there's a whole bunch of security that's behind the scenes, which I can elaborate on after if I get my husband involved. The actual functionalities are quite unique in that we do get quite a lot of traffic through our website that come in and actually ask us a query through the website. That will come into our consultants and automatically open a matter. And it's driven by workflow, so it's driven by status. So a new matter comes into the queue and it's assigned a new category. It's then moves from open, and there's conflict checks that happen within the software. It goes from open to advised and then invoiced and then closed. So you can search, a client, for example, might have 15 matters, 2 of them are advised, 4 of them are closed and 3 of them are open, and so they'll see all that. The lawyers interact with me through the software, through file notes. It replaces email, so we don't have to put emails back in or use any system outside. We do use email as well because clients don't want to interact with us at the moment through the software. But we think eventually what will happen is more and more clients will actually start to use their portals because they also don't want to have to manage a whole bunch of emails, and we'll be able to communicate through their comments. I also think some of the large financial institutions and investment banks that we have on our books might not actually appreciate how valuable their portal will be for them, that they have 3 years worth of data in there that they can right now go in and search. And that will take time. That's an education thing. There are personnel within those businesses who know about it, but as a broader business, they don't. So.
And your take on what's going to happen to the profession in the future?
It's exciting, really. I'm seeing, so I have to talk about personally within my world. It's banking and finance. We do regulatory, consumer credit, financial services, and it's all compliance-based. We don't do litigation, but we manage litigation. I see in my world more and more virtual lawyers coming out, wanting to use technology, working for themselves, wanting to affiliate with firms like us. Some of the consultants who affiliate with us also affiliate with other virtual firms. That's because there's this flexible model, and I'm seeing that clients, in particular the major banks, are starting to realise they can get the same quality of lawyer at half the price if they take away the big law. There's always going to be big law. We need big law, litigation, M&A, these types of things where you need to have people in a room. that's always going to be there. I think there's a big chunk of work that can be done online, and we're starting to take some of that work from the top tier firms, where I know these people would go to the top tier firm, but they've just bypassed them, they've gone to us. We've said, we can do more than the in-house here. Do you want us to do this enforceability opinion? And they are trusting us to do those things now.
Okay. Questions?
Yes. You mentioned flexibility as a driver. Do you still consider your practice as a Sydney-based firm, or has the geographic footprint changed as a result of this new way of doing things?
Right now, we're still a Sydney-based firm. We do have a couple of consultants, one WA and one in Victoria. So whenever that jurisdiction type work comes up, we would send it to them. But because banking and finance is so big in Sydney, all our clients, well, I would say 90% are in Sydney. So our key lawyers are either in Sydney or in Byron Bay or various places around, working remotely.
If I could ask, I'm quite interested in this concept of a virtual lawyer.
I know.
Is that a modern way of describing a sole practitioner that you are otherwise feeding work to? And can you just describe the affiliation? You said virtual lawyers affiliating with firms like ours. Just explain that sort of that business model.
Yeah, so it's a different business model. And I guess this is one of the challenges when we started trying to fit our business model and what we wanted to do within the set of rules. So our lawyers are external contractors, essentially. They have their own unrestricted practicing certificate. They have their own professional indemnity insurance. Some of them are in incorporated legal practices of their own. Others are sole practitioners. In all cases, they work remotely using their own hardware, so laptops and mobiles. In the banking and finance world, we would call this a white label, but there is no term, I don't think. But they do work for Loyal and for our clients, white labelled as Loyal. We disclose to clients that they're contractors, that they have their own PI, that they have, but that they're operating under Loyal's banner. We had to talk extensively with the professional indemnity insurer, Law Cover, to try and model it. Are they external? Are they internal? How does this work? And, we came up with this model and it seems to work. It doesn't fit perfectly in with how you describe what a law firm is. I think you had another question in there.
Just the affiliation aspect. If you could just explain how that works in terms of can the one consultant be affiliated with more than one firm? Yeah,
so freelancing, I think, is maybe a better word than affiliating. And I did use affiliating, but because they're capable of they're not employees of ours and we're not exclusive, we actually like it that they can go and get their own work, either through their own practice and their own brands, or they can consult to others, like Legal Vision, for example. And the other virtual firms, for example, Legal Vision, don't have exclusivity either, so they allow these freelancers to come and consult to their clients as well as to other clients. So we have that same model. We see, or I personally see, some of these virtual firms coming up that all started around the same time as us. We're starting to work together and send clients to each other, and we also recognise that some of our consultants work for each other.
If I could ask one last question, just a spin-off on that. You mentioned branding now a couple of times. So in this new world, branding must have more value than not, because it's so transferable potentially with freelancers, I guess, affiliating or working or consulting for different firms.
Yeah.
And the concept of a white label is quite intriguing.
It is. So our clients understand it because they're sophisticated clients, and our clients use white labelling within their own funding system. So they all have, for example, a credit provider, and they white label for Aussie Home Loans and everyone else in the world. They understand the concept, they understand the risks. So when we do it, they have absolutely no issues for it. We have had struggles with SME markets where someone might say, I'd like you to do this, and I'll send one of our consultants off to help, and he'll look that person up on LinkedIn, and that person doesn't work for Loyal Solicitors. And come back to me and say, who is this person? I don't really know. And trying to explain it. So the model doesn't necessarily fit every person, and young people as well with the technology, and they understand that concept. The banking and finance industry, absolutely, but we have had some struggles with the SME market.